Good morning. Please rise.
Please bow your head. Lord, we thank you for St. Petersburg College. We thank you for all the employees of St. Petersburg College. Continue to bless our community, our state, and our country. All these blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name, in whom I pray, and in whose name you may pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and good morning to all. We have some retirement resolutions. Dr. Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask Gail Burke to join us here and her family and friends. Gail Burke began her career as an adjunct nursing instructor in 1976 and became a full-time faculty member in 1981 and program director of nursing in 2002. And whereas Gail has served on many college-wide committees, including St. Petersburg College Facet Commission in 1989, followed by a college-wide committee to revise faculty evaluation guidelines. Don't get far away, okay? Whereas Gail, as Program Director of Nursing, has fostered partnerships with Baycare Health Systems, Health Corporation of America, and the Bay Pines Veterans Administration, has overseen the Nurses Now grant, Jobs for Florida's Future, and a U.S. Department of Labor grant, which leads to the development of the SCENE, Simulation Center for Excellence in Nursing. And whereas Gail represented St. Petersburg College Nursing at the National League for Nursing as a member and chairperson of the Constituent Organization Advisory Committee from 2001 to 2006, and whereas Gail collaborated with nursing administrative team, faculty, and students to achieve an outstanding self-study report and has witnessed our graduate scores on the National Council of State Boards of Nursing examination rise steadily to be above the national average, and whereas Gail has a warm and generous spirit, and we wish her happiness in her retirement as she travels, spends time with the family, and volunteers, now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize Gail and appreciate the outstanding contributions of the college and to the community by Gail Burke and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead. This 15th day of May, 2012. Congratulations, Gail.
It's just been a great 30 years, and I've really enjoyed all of it. It seems to have now gone very fast, but especially the last month, and I appreciate all of the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Good. Thank you. There was some question about whether Margaret Knoop had made it this morning. Yes? No? Okay. Dr. Jan Whitman. Anybody left over there after today?
No,
Right. Dr. Jan Whitman began her career at St. Petersburg College in 1974 as a nursing instructor. After 3 years, she left St. Pete College for Bay Pines Hospital, but returned in 1989 to start an evening nursing program. And whereas Jan has been in nursing for 45 years, functioning as a staff nurse, hospital educator, head nurse, nurse educator in an academic setting, and program administrator, And whereas Jan has served as chairman of the Pinellas County Master Rotation Committee, a member of Florida Nurses Association Board of Trustees, and currently a member of Northside Hospital Board of Trustees. She's also a member of the Sigma Theta Tau Nursing Honor Society. And whereas Jan is a dynamic nursing instructor who spends extra time tutoring individuals and groups of students, she has also served as a resource to faculty, assisting them with the guidance and support of students striving for success. And whereas Jan collaborated with the nursing administrative team, faculty, and students to achieve an outstanding NLNAC self-study report and views this as one of her greatest achievements in a long career. She is grateful to the St. Petersburg College family for the opportunity to work with wonderful colleagues and friends. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the St. Pete College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions to the college and the community by Dr. Jan Whitman and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead, this 15th day of May 2012. Hear, hear. Thank you.
I'd like to thank St. Petersburg College, the Board of Trustees, the President, the higher administration, the provost, and the faculty and staff, and most of all the students. I really do believe we have changed lives, and I carry that with me into retirement. Thank you very much.
Just for the record, we have 650 associate degree nursing students and 850 bachelor's degree nursing students. Wow. This college has 1,500 nursing students in the pipeline at any one time. I mean, it's an extraordinary commitment in our community, and those two women retiring at the same time have a lot to do with that success. Dr. Watson Haynes. Dr. Watson Haynes joined St. Petersburg College in 2008 as a community outreach coordinator after an already distinguished career over 3 decades as a leader in Pinellas County with Coalition for a Safe and Drug-Free St. Petersburg, Bridges to America, and Operation PAR. And whereas Dr. Haynes became the college's point person in building relationships and providing opportunities for disenfranchised members of the community, and whereas Dr. Haynes connected the college with community leaders in general and the African American community at large, and whereas Dr. Haynes marshaled the college's resources to partner with Gibbs High School and improve educational opportunities for students there, especially those who might have thought post-secondary education was out of their reach, and whereas Dr. Haynes is known to his colleagues for his ready smile and warm greetings, and whereas Dr. Haynes now embarks on a new path of service as President and CEO of the Pinellas County Urban League, now therefore be it resolved that St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions of the college and to the college and the community by Dr. Watson Haynes, and extend to him our best wishes for success in this new endeavor in the years ahead, this 15th day of May 2012. Congratulations. Life has its moments, okay? Thank you for all you've done for me, too. Short and sweet now, Watson.
Short and sweet, okay.
Right.
I got 2 hours and...
No.
Actually, I got somebody at meet me at the office so I can beg for some money already. And let me thank all of you. When Dr. Law asked me to get involved with Gibbs High and Boca Ciega, the Boca Ciega, every one of you I called, every one of you that I reached out to responded. And I thank you. I thank you on behalf of the children who have benefited. And I thank Dr. Law for giving me the opportunity to work with him. During the interview process, I told them in Washington and Atlanta that I love Dr. Law and St. Petersburg College, and I really don't want to leave. And they said that you don't say that during an interview. And I said, well, it's true. So I just thank once again all of you for everything that you've done to make it good. And I'm not gone. I'm just down the street, and you'll be seeing my face all throughout Pinellas County and even some folk in Hillsborough County and Manatee County as I do my job. Thanks, and God bless all of you.
Thank you. Okay, now I have the toughest of choices, okay? I have two that are very close to, I'm gonna leave this one. Ken Burke, can you join us? Kenneth P. Burke has been a pivotal part of St. Petersburg College since he was a student leader on the St. Pete Gibbs campus in the late 1970s. And whereas Mr. Burke was appointed to the St. Pete College Board of Trustees by Governor Jeb Bush in 1999 and reappointed by Governor Charlie Crist in 2008, he has been a diligent and caring board member, always putting the interests of faculty and students above all others. And whereas Mr. Burke, clerk of the circuit court and also a CPA by profession, has kept a watchful eye on the college finances, which has resulted in outstanding audits during his tenure on the board. And whereas Mr. Burke earned the respect of educators throughout the state and nation as a member of the board of the National Association of Community College Trustees, serving a term as board chairman. In addition, he was elected to the board of the American Association of Community Colleges, serving a term on the association's executive committee. And whereas Mr. Burke has also further distinguished himself on the American Association of Community Colleges' 21st Century Commission on the Future of Community Colleges, an organization charged with comprehensively examining the challenges and opportunities facing the fastest growing sector of higher education. And whereas Mr. Burke has been a valued member of the St. Pete College Alumni Association Board of Directors for many years, working to increase membership and involvement and to keep the association's finances in order. And whereas Mr. Burke has faithfully served the Seminole community and his church through the years, resulting in his selection as Mr. Seminole in 1999, now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions to the college and to the community by Kenneth Burke and extend to him our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead, this 15th day of May 2012. Hear, hear. Say a couple things and we'll take a picture.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the board. We have an outstanding board, 4 individuals who are very dedicated to the success of this college, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you. I also have to say how overwhelming it's been for me to receive the emails and cards and letters and hugs. I've appreciated those too. And communications from so many people here at the college. It's been overwhelming for me, and I can't express in words just how much that has meant to me. I even received a letter from the only faculty member who is still on the faculty, who was an instructor of mine, Introduction to Business. George Leonard sent me the most lovely letter, still caring for his former student, and it was just, that's an example of the many, many letters and acknowledgments I received, and it's made this separation from the board so much easier, and I want to thank you for that. I also have this time, the resolution mentioned, I should acknowledge, I thank you, Governor Bush, thank you, Governor Crist, for appointing me to the board. I wouldn't have had that opportunity to serve unless those governors appointed me. And I also want to acknowledge Dennis Jones, because Dennis back in 1999 was House Majority Leader. And I went to Dennis when our governor got elected, Governor Bush got elected, and said, Dennis, would you help me get on the board? And I probably wouldn't be serving on this board if it wasn't for the support Dennis Jones gave me as House Majority Leader back in 1999. So thank you, Dennis. See you in the back there. I certainly appreciate your help. I also just want to leave with two big thoughts. I love the community college movement, St. Petersburg College especially, but what we stand for. And it's so important what we stand for. In this age where the elite colleges are taking pride in the people they reject. They reject 90% of the people who apply to Harvard and Yale and all those places. And then even our state universities have gotten in the business of rejecting people. And what makes St. Petersburg College so wonderful is our open door policy, that we give opportunity to so many people. And that's something, while I'll have this mic for the last time, I'll say we need to always be committed to. A few weeks ago at church, we had the Bible verse, "The stone that the builder rejected became the cornerstone." And I think that's a great motto for the community college movement. Because you look at our students, and you think about, I think about two that I interviewed as part of the alumni Apollo screening committee. And one student came, and this was many years ago, and she told us her story about what it was like to come to St. Petersburg Junior College at the time. And she was in her mid-50s, had just gotten divorced, hadn't worked in years, and needed to have some skills to make her life better. And she said she drove to the college 6 times to the Clearwater campus, Stan, and never got out of the car. It was too intimidating. And then finally, on her 7th time, she said, "I finally gripped my hands off the steering wheel and came into the Clearwater campus. And thank God we had a very welcoming person there who greeted her and saw potential in her than just, hey, you're not some 50-year-old divorcee who has been out of the workforce, but saw potential in her and worked with her." And then she went on to become an Apollo finalist. So that credential which she earned when she walked across the stage was much more than an academic credential. It was an improvement of her life and the self-worth that she had. The following year, we had a person, and I'll never forget him and his story. The interview was going great. He talked about all his student activities and what he had done. And we got to a part where it was a pretty softball question at the end. We said, "What does St. Petersburg Junior College and your experience here mean to you?" And I'll never forget what he said. He looked down at first and gathered his thoughts. And he said, "I graduated from Gulf High School up in Pasco County," and he had a 1-point-something grade point average. He said, "If I would have graduated the next year, they changed the state requirements, I would have got a certificate of attendance rather than a high school diploma." And he said, "I went out to the workforce, had a bunch of lousy jobs, and said, I have to change my life." And he went to the Tarpon campus, Conferleet, of St. Petersburg Junior College. And here he walks in there with his 1-point-something high school grade point average. And instead of being rejected, we saw potential in him. And he said, you know, throughout his life, and he used those words, he said, "I was always a goof off. He said, "I never did anything right." He said, "I caused a lot of trouble for my mother," and he was raised by a single mother. But he says, now I'm graduating from St. Petersburg College, and he was graduating with a near 4.0 grade point average. I was going to transfer to university to major in some technical area of geography. Very interesting. And so he closed off by saying what his experience at St. Petersburg Junior College meant to him was the first time in his life he had done something to make his mother proud. And I'm thinking, is that story just tremendous? And that's what we do here at St. Petersburg College. It's much more than just a diploma mill. We're certainly not that. It's embracing people and making people, as was said before, we put wings on people's dreams. And that's what this college is about. So my challenge to you is always be that to people. Always offer those opportunities to improve people's lives. Thank you for giving me the opportunity these past 13 years to serve on this board and to experience so many wonderful things and to be part of this wonderful family of St. Petersburg College. Thank you so much.
Let's take some pictures here.
Thank you.
We have one more. We just heard from one of the great trustees. Now I'm going to do one that's very close to my heart. Debbie Montalvo, please come forward. You all need to know the day I walked in January of '81, the first face I got to was Debbie's. She was outside the president's office, and then she went on to be my secretary. So I don't know if we put that in here, that she had the great opportunity. Let me see what we wrote. Okay, all right. Debbie, stand over here. Deborah Montalvo, known as Deb to her many friends and colleagues, began her career as an administrative secretary at the president's office of St. Petersburg Junior College in 1980. And whereas Deb has provided 30 years of outstanding service as a manager and coordinator of various projects, always creating and enhancing partnership opportunities for corporate training, the baccalaureate program, College of Business, and finally in her current position as college-wide workforce internship coordinator. And whereas Deb has championed the success of countless SPC students, served as an administrator for the Student Survey of Instruction, and represented St. Petersburg College programs, resources, and efforts as she has moved about the community, strengthening relationships with private industry, government, and nonprofit organizations. And whereas Deb has set an example as a lifelong learner by earning her AA degree from St. Petersburg Junior College, her BA in Management and MS in Managerial Leadership from National Louis University. She has participated in professional development through the University of Florida and the Pinellas County School Board, and has maintained numerous professional affiliations. And whereas Deb has touched more lives in 30 years at St. Pete College than there are residents in the town of Florida, Mass, fewer than 700, where she will spend the next 3 months. We wish her best in her retirement as she spends time with her family and continues to spread joy and wisdom along the eastern seaboard and beyond. Now therefore, be it resolved that St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions to the college and the community by Deborah Montalvo, and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment in the years ahead, this 15th day of May, 2012. Hey, hey.
Thank you, everyone. It has just been a glorious, wonderful journey these past 30 years, and I can't ask for more than this. And just everyone I've met has played an integral part in my life. And thank you for all of the help I always received whenever things weren't going quite right in my life. My college family was always there to help me through that. So we are more than just that academic piece. We are human beings helping one another, and especially our students. And I'm just very proud, and will always be proud, of my time at St. Petersburg College. Thank you.
Take a picture here.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to congratulate all of our retirees and the folks that are going to be journeying on to the next phase of their life. Before we move forward with the agenda, I just want to give my fellow board members an opportunity maybe for some comments, specifically for Ken, who I know many of us have worked with briefly and some of us a little bit longer. Devron? Ken's still here, I hope.
Is he still here?
Has he left?
Oh, he's
He
gone.
left, yeah.
Well, it makes it
mind.
easier then. I didn't really know Ken Burke when I came on this board. The best way that I could describe Ken Burke is that he leads even when he's not leading or out front. Phenomenal person to work with. He's going to be sorely missed. He always has the details. He never misses any detail. And as I said, he's definitely going to be missed. He's become a good friend. And I think it's really sad that he's not going to be on this board because he brought a lot to the table in terms of St. Petersburg College. And through his speech, you could tell he really loved the college. So he's sorely going to be missed, but he'll be around. I can imagine he'll probably be doing a lot more than we will as it relates to the college to continue to help. So,
Great. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just wanted to comment. Ken is a great one to build a board manual. He built a class how to be a trustee of a community college 101. Because in the Tallahassee trip or the Washington trip, I learned a great deal from him. He was a great leader of board members.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'd just like to say he's probably the finest advocate I've met for
Definitely.
any board, and he's
Yeah.
that'll be a tremendous loss for the college.
Absolutely. My comment would be that Dr. Law and I were sitting in Mayor Foster's office yesterday, and Mayor Foster asked about Ken. That's the reach that he has in this community. And we talked about what a committed board member, dedicated. Ken devoted so much passion to his role as a trustee, it's hard to even put into words. I've known Ken for 30 years. I knew he was on this board before I joined, but I never had a clue as to his contributions and his dedication until I got to witness it here. So I'm sorry that Ken left a little bit early. Those of you that see him, share our comments with him if you would, and I'm going to do the same. So he's going to be missed. We'll leave it at that. Thank you. Just a word or two about our agenda this morning. As all of you know, the appointment process for our trustees has been an interesting journey over the last number of months. And we are at a spot right now where there is a question as to the formal appointments of a couple of our board members. Because some of our newer board members were appointed by the governor previously and then just reappointed, there's a question as to whether they are officially board members right now, a legal opinion, and it has to do with really the movement of paperwork between the Secretary of State's office and the governor's office and back and forth. Long story short, so that we are not making any improper moves, we have decided as a board, along with legal counsel, that we're going to go through our agenda today, and we're going to have a discussion of every item in here, but we are not going to take any action. We're not going to take any formal votes until we know, hopefully by next meeting, that all of our board members will be official. So our hope today is to frame our discussion more as a workshop, and that we will have full discussion on all these items, no formal votes, and that we will move most of this agenda into a consent agenda item next board meeting. So, Dr. Law, did I cover that okay? Anything?
You have put the best face on a very confusing issue, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if you'd like, I'd make that a motion.
Let's start over here.
So that's where we are. So I guess we won't move to accept the retirement resolutions until next month. So that being said, let's go on to agenda item
Mr.
3.
Chair, before we go on,
Yes.
can I add one other?
Please.
Two quick points.
Please.
One is, Dr. Law, if you would, I'd like you to go over to the health facility over there and check out what Dr. Nicotera is doing, because he's kicking out all the good people.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure what's going on over there. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. Someone who has been an uncle, a friend, a mentor, and a lot of other things to me, Watson Haynes. Congratulations on becoming CEO of the Urban League. You will be sorely missed here at the college. You've done a lot to help. I'm sure Dr. Gordon was very happy to see you a couple of years ago when you came over to Gibbs. But thank you for all you do for this community. And I won't tell people I used to run around your office when I was a little boy. Thank you for what you've done. I appreciate it. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr.
Sorry,
Gibbons.
Chair.
Okay, we are on agenda item 3. So other board members, any other comments? Dr. Law?
I do have one other one. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. If you did not attend graduation, this was absolutely the best and biggest graduation we've had. I'm sorry Mr. Burke's not here, because he was still barking out orders. Now, don't forget to do this and don't forget to do that. It truly, we graduated a lot of students. I'm especially proud to say that we could not count how many African-American males and Hispanic males that came across the stage during this graduation. Not only that, the new configuration and the whole, it just went very well, went very smoothly. It was a great graduation. The staff should be commended on the graduation, and Dr. Law, as well as you, should be commended on the it was a great affair. People said it wouldn't work on a Tuesday, and I can tell you that Tropicana Field had more people in there than a Rays game on a Tuesday. It was packed, and no one left until it was over. And so I just want to brag on our staff a little bit and our faculty and other folks. It was a great affair.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. Thank you.
By the numbers, just under 1,200 graduates, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Okay, thank you. Under agenda item 3, Dr. Law, anything from you at this point?
Fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we are going to skip over our minute approval at this point then, on to monthly reports. Mr. Lang.
I have nothing to report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Gardner?
I have nothing to report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Dr. Carney?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Law, colleagues in the audience, good morning again.
Good morning.
This morning, my report is to provide an update on the Leaparat Museum of Art as it relates to accreditation by the American Association of Museums. Before I get that, please allow me to introduce Ms. Ann Larson, who's the new acting director of the museum. Ann brings to the table 30-plus years of museum and art center management experience, including both for-profit and non-profit operations. She has served on the museum board for 8 years, including 2 terms, as board chair for a total of 4 years, and also chair of the museum's board education and outreach committee, and was also a valuable member of the accreditation ad hoc committee that oversaw the preparation of the submission of the application to the AAM in July of 2010. So she's not new to the museum, she's not new to the accreditation process, and I'm very pleased to have her on board with me this morning. Mr. Chairman, at the top of the chart, there are 2 key strategies that are 2 of 7 that we've shared with the board over the years, and these 2 were chosen because they relate directly to to the agenda item 7I that will be on the consent agenda for next meeting. And that memo speaks to a resolution of support for the museum as an integral part of the St. Petersburg College mission. It also speaks to a three-way agreement between the college, the foundation, and the museum regarding collection management and stewardship of the permanent collections. The images you see there, the two in the middle, are two signature pieces from Abraham Ratner. To the top right is a signature piece from Estel Gentle, Don Quixote, Paris, 1964. To the bottom right is one of the many sculptures from the Gulf Coast Museum of Arts that's located throughout the college campuses. To the left, the student art. The top one is the second place for the 2012 Student Charrette. It's a competitive exhibit for our students at the college. And then to the left bottom is actually a collection of art from the Gus Spilaracas Congressional Art Award. That is a partnership that we work with the Congressman's office with high schools. So all of the art there you see are from high school students. There were 108 entries, and the winning piece there will travel to Washington, D.C. and hung in the Congressional office or halls for a year. Speaking of the permanent collections, the word permanent collections is a AAM, or American Foundation, the American Association of Museum term. It implies that we are committed to care for and preserve the art according to the AAM standards. It also implies that this art in the permanent collection will be the primary focus of the review of the accreditation process as it relates to accessioned art. You can see the left-hand side of the chart there, that number 2423 is the total pieces of art that has been accessioned to date, and we're planning to also accession an additional 275 pieces from the Gulf Coast Museum collection as well. At the top of this chart is a simplified overview of the process of accreditation. It's a 5-step process. We have completed the first step. We're now in the second step, which is the most arduous and time-consuming step. We've been working on that for upwards of 2 years now. And then in step 3, the ball moves into the AAM court. When we submit our self-study in July of this year, the AAM staff at that time can give us a checklist of any items that they want additional information on that we may have missed. And at that point, they may decide to go ahead and schedule step 4, which is a site visit, or they may delegate that decision up to the commission of the AAM that meets in November. It meets 3 times a year, but the one that we're targeting is November 2012. Based on the schedule that they've shared with us, we can expect a site visit by not later than March 2013. And at that time, I'm sure the site visitors will want to talk to the president as well as some of the board members about the museum, about the collections, about stewardship and support, etc. So I'm very happy to be sharing again with you this status. And then the final decision by the commission will be at the July meeting in 2013. The question is, why is accreditation? What does it do for us? And Ann Larson will share that with us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
With accreditation from the American Association of Museums comes, of course, a new level of credibility, and that can lead to a variety of benefits, several key ones that you see there in front of you. Overall, though, SPC and the museum will benefit from national prestige, and it will elevate us to the highest echelon of academic institutions. And this is by virtue of the fact that only about 5% of all museums in the United States, and there are a little over 17,000 of them, but only about 5% are accredited. So we'll be in a very select group once we achieve accreditation. And further, of all of the museums that are associated with colleges and universities in the United States, only 16% of those are accredited. If we could move to the next slide, great. Critical path items. We have a number of documents that we have been working on at the museum and with other departments for quite some time. The parent organization resolution that is on your agenda, that resolution articulates that Leaparat is an important part of the SPC mission and that SPC also supports the museum's mission. Among the additional critical documents that we must submit for accreditation is the Collections Management Agreement, and that is a document that has been drafted between SPC, the SPC Foundation, and the museum. In addition, we have, our deliverables include responses to about a 340-item questionnaire from the American Association of Museums. We are working on 40 required institutional documents, and we will have up to 15 supplemental documents. And of course, all of these come due within 2 months. So we are working on them. So I just wanted to say thank you all for your support, and we very much look forward to winning accreditation on behalf of the museum and the college. Thank you. Dr. Carney?
Mr. Chairman, that ends our report this morning. We'd be happy to address any questions.
I just would like to make a comment. I was involved when with the organization that brought the Chihuly collection to town in St. Pete, and they started the process of accreditation, and they've never gotten through it. I mean, but it is, and so I am commending you. I'm saying this is. I don't have any doubt you're going to do it. That's not my point. My point is I'm commending you that you're on target and what that will do for the prestige of the Leaparat is incredible. That museum, as you know, I'm a fan. It's a gem. I'm sorry I missed the Warhol opening. I mean, I read about it in the paper. You got a lot of good press. And so congratulations, Ms. Larson. I've heard great things about you. I'm thrilled that you're there. And Dr. Carney, I'm just very, very happy and thrilled. Anybody else?
I just have a quick question. Under the benefits for accreditation, you said that it strengthens financials. How does it do that?
Well, a number of ways. One, with the added credibility of accreditation, it helps build donor confidence. So higher-end donors are looking for that seal of approval that comes with accreditation. There are so many museums out there, but that really gives us an edge. It also helps us bring in a higher caliber of exhibition on loan, and that, of course, drives additional attendance to the museum, which in turn increases sales in the museum store, memberships, and so forth. So a couple of other things that accreditation involves leading to stronger financials would be the internal controls, documents and processes, working on best practices on the staff and board levels. So all of that combines towards stronger financials.
Thank you.
Other questions?
You're welcome.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Dr. Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Law. The academic year has a cadence to it. A graduation was this month, start of the summer term. In August, we have new beginnings with the start of the fall term and the incoming class. But last month was awards month on campus, an opportunity for us to have ceremonies noticing students for the successes that they've had. And I'm going to talk about just 3 this morning. The first is our business plan and elevator pitch competition. It was our second competition, and we gave out $10,000 to 10 students and big checks, which you see here, to 4 of the winners. The grand prize winner, $5,000, went to a young lady by the name of Nicole Bredesen. She is a Seminole campus student with a product called Cookies Then Milk, a special formula for lactating mothers. And her business has really taken off. I talked to her yesterday, and she's actually got an international order from Canada. So now she says she's gone international. She's using part of her money because she was invited by Dr. Oz to go to Atlanta to be part of the largest baby shower in the world. When she left the competition and we had a little reception afterwards, she said her goal is to make sure that she gives me a big check. And I said I'd be here. The second celebration is our Semi Awards. This is our was our seventh annual Semi Awards program that was included this year, expanded to include our MIRA students, our music industry students, as well as those in the digital arts program, including prizes for web, for graphics, for video and game development, and high school media work. We have had over 30 entries for high school alone. It was the most entries and the largest audience we'd ever had for the semis, and for the first time, an area business approached us about giving a $500 scholarship to the winner of the Best in Show. You'll notice that after both of these competitions, we have YouTube videos that we've produced so that we can keep those posted so that next year the competition can see what it's going to take to win either a semi or the business plan competition. The third and the largest award is for our annual Student Awards celebration. This was our 13th. We've had these since we opened the campus. But for the first time ever, we had standing room only in the campus digitorium for the event. We handed out 162 awards in 90 minutes, mostly from faculty recognizing excellence or exemplary progress in the various academic disciplines. But we also awarded $8,500 from donors as diverse as the local Rotary Club and the Seminole Chamber of Commerce to an area digital media firm and the hospitality industry. It's events like these which showcase the success and demonstrate that we are changing lives on campus and serves as an example for younger students to see what it will take to be successful. Later in the meeting, we're going to be reviewing construction and renovation plans for the Seminole campus. We're pretty jazzed about that. But it's really about people, and as Ken said, Mr. Burke said, embracing people and putting wings on their dreams. And April is a great month to celebrate that.
Great. Questions? Excellent. Before you leave, Dr. Oliver, I just want to make a little plug for next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Next Tuesday, May 22nd, the Policy Institute, which is at the Seminole campus, is having former Governor and former Senator Bob Graham will be giving a keynote address at 6 o'clock. This is through the Policy Institute. There'll be questions and answers and also a book signing. So Senator Graham, next Tuesday, the 22nd, will be at the Seminole campus at the Policy Institute. So those of you who can make that, that would be a great night. So I just wanted to make sure folks had that on their calendar.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Ms. Rubel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The purpose of our reports so far this year have been to introduce the career service employees to the board. And so far we've had some pretty basic information for you, but today is the good stuff, and that is related to how career service employees actually impact the college experience for our students. I told the president last week that something happened at graduation that made me think I should just dispense with this whole slide, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But on the slide here are lots of great examples, day-to-day examples of the impact that we have on our students' experiences. First impressions, out-of-class student support areas, behind-the-scenes support, and even scholarships. And I think that not a lot of folks know that the facilities team, which is the largest group of career service employees, has a scholarship fund that they've had for many years. And in the past 9 years, they've awarded over $22,000 of scholarship money to deserving students. At graduation, a lot of you would remember that the Apollo Award winner, Alistair Glover, when he listed off folks who had helped him at the college, the first person on his list was a career service employee. That probably says most of it right there. And then this morning in one of Mr. Burke's stories, The person who really took a long time to get up the nerve to come into to the office there at Tarpon most likely encountered a career service employee when they first walked in the door. And we talk about this at work a lot, that the way we receive folks, both on the phone and in person, can really make a big difference. They may feel warm and welcome and comfortable or not, and that could make it or break it for them. So I really appreciate the opportunity to have given you all the information here over the last few months. Happy to answer any questions about any of that. No? This will likely be the last report that I make as the chairperson of the Career Service Council. And I wanted to thank Dr. Nicotera for his support of me. I really kind of neglected him this year, and he's been a real peach about it. And then Dr. Law as well. The creation of this council has literally been a dream come true for a lot of folks here at the college. And we really appreciate it, Dr. Law. Personally, thank you very much for your support. And thank you, board, as well.
Thank you. Okay, we will be moving on to agenda item 7, student success and a student enrollment update.
Mr. Chairman, we have a presentation. The numbers for summer are troubling, so we want to share with you where we find ourselves. Yesterday was the first day of classes for the summer. We'll share what we know about some of the issues we're dealing with, and certainly some of the some things that we're researching to go forward. But it is a very trying situation. And I think we have we are addressing it as fully as we can. Let's get the numbers and the details from Patrick Renard and Jesse Coraggio, and then have whatever dialogue is important here.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Law. As Dr. Law mentioned, our enrollment for summer is down, and we hope to, in this brief presentation, give you some of the leading causes that we believe why it's down, as well as some of the outreach and some of the initiatives that we are undertaking to try to curb that. And obviously, we will keep you apprised throughout the summer as we head into the fall term.
I'd like to start with a little overview on where we are actually today. I'm going to start with what we have there on the slide. This is actually the night before the first term, and we prepared this to get all the information for you, and I'll give you a brief update on where we are today. But to the left there, you'll see headcount enrollment, and to the right, you'll see student semester hours, or SSH. We're about 8.9% comparison summer over summer with headcount. For SSH, we're down 13.3%. Numbers have dropped a little bit as of today. We're down 9.5% in headcount, and we're down 14% in SSH. We do expect a little bit of a recovery based on some changes with deadlines that occur, so I think these will actually go up a little bit before the end of the week's complete, but overall we will be down in comparison to summer of the prior year. This is kind of breaking out some of the subgroups, and you've seen a similar slide when we've come here with the Who's Here presentations. We're breaking out students by 3 groups. A continuing student is a student who's been here at least once in the last 3 terms. A new student is either going to be a transfer student or a first-time in college student new to the institution. And remit is a student who has previously been here at the institution but hasn't been here in the last 3 terms. And we see some differences there in the declines. You'll see for continuing students, we're down about 8.5%. Our new is 7.7%. And for our readmit, that's the lowest decline, we're down 13.1%. This slide is actually giving us a historical perspective. So we're looking at the similar kinds of information with student semester hours across 5 years. The blue there at the bottom of the stacked bar chart represents the fall terms. The red represents the spring terms. And the greenish color above represents the summer terms. And you'll see there was some fairly robust growth from 2006, 2007 through 2010-11. When we get to the 11-12 year, we see our first decline in terms of enrollment growth. Fall was up a little bit. Spring, we had our first real decline over that time period, and you'll see that we have our decline there in the summer enrollment. So 11-12 was down about 1.8% from 10-11. Still a lot of growth in that time period is reflected in the very last column when you look at 5-year increase, but we're starting to experience an enrollment slowdown. And now Dr. Renard will give you some updates on possible impact.
The leading cause that we think is driving the enrollment decline has to do with a financial aid program that is no longer available to students this summer. Pell 2, or sometimes it's referred to as year-round Pell, is a federal program that you can see last year 1,600 students received for $2.2 million. And the federal government eliminated that as an option for students this summer. Basically what that allowed students to do is if their Pell eligibility had elapsed, if they had spent all of their Pell money in the fall and spring term, they could actually use Pell money in the upcoming academic year. And the feds stopped that this year. And that is driving the enrollment decline. We've had an 18% reduction in financial aid applications this summer, and awards are down 17%. This shows financial aid recipients and non-financial aid recipients year over year as of May 13th. The proportions are identical, but what we see here is that while that Pell 2 award went away, we think that a lot of students are probably borrowing money. We don't have the data yet. We're probably borrowing via loans to make up that proportion of 37%. And we're also thinking that a lot of students that got that Pell 2 last year are now here in the blue stacked bar chart on the right, not receiving any aid at all this summer. Anecdotally, we're also talking to colleges around the state, and their number one reason by far is the reduction or the elimination of year-round Pell as to why their enrollment is down. And Jesse's going to share some of that data with you in a moment. The second second reason why we think enrollment is down has to do with the economy. The first bullet, you can see the economy in the Bay Area has improved. There's numerous articles in the local newspapers that point to that. The seasonally adjusted unemployment rate has improved by 2 full percentage points from last March to this March. The chart you see here is a chart that's was generated by the Florida college system. The blue line indicates employment, and the red line indicates enrollment. And you can see from about 2006 to 2010, employment went down. In other words, unemployment was going up. And when that occurs, enrollment goes up. And that's a phenomenon that we've known about for a long time. And I think we're right on the cusp of seeing the improved economy, especially in the local area, driving our enrollment down. In some ways, it's a good thing. Last year, there were 44,000 unemployed citizens in the county, and I think that number, as of March of 2012, is down to about 36,000 unemployed. So in some aspects, we're doing our job. Some of the outreach efforts that we've undertaken, we have ramped up our communication to students. We've reached out to students that were here in the fall and or the spring term that did not graduate and are in good academic standing and did not enroll in the summer. We've had some success with that. We're also ramping up our communication to recent applicants who've not enrolled, and we keep a database of prospects where our recruiters go out and speak to future students. And so we're ramping up our communication to those prospects that have not yet applied. We're constantly promoting our upper division programs. In fact, our deans of the upper division programs are reaching down into our AS, the corresponding AS degrees like public safety and public policy. We are starting a new pilot project called My Summer Bridge, which is a 8-week, very intensive, immersive program that's going to begin June 12th and go through August 2nd to try to jumpstart and give brand new students who test into 2 or more areas of college prep an ability to get a head start in preparation for fall. They'll also get free textbooks and peer mentors to guide them through their first term here. And the extra communication to high school students via direct mail and ramping up our visits to high schools.
In summary, as was mentioned earlier, the loss of the year-round Pell or Pell-Tel is a significant contributor, we believe, to our enrollment slowdown. Some enrollment is down across SPC, it's down across the state. When we did this about a week ago, we were kind of middle of the 12 or 13 that responded to our request for information. Some other institutions, to give you an idea, Valencia is down 13% as of the first day. Gulf Coast is down 9.6%, and HCC is down 8%. Typically, as mentioned in the chart, I think that's a very tight correlation between the two when we look at employment and the enrollment at the community colleges. Typically, when employment rates go up, college enrollment goes down. And SPC's largest declines are in the continuing and the readmit students. And you can see where the economy would impact those readmit students because they're looking for other choices. They were formerly a student and they're coming back to find other avenues. But as employment opportunities opens up, that's going to lower that particular cohort of students. Any questions we can answer?
Did I see on that first graph, obviously less students, and those students that are here are taking less hours?
Yes, and that's been something we've seen when we've compared. Even as we were growing, we were seeing that trend occurring, where we were having fewer students. We were still growing, but growing at a lower pace. Fewer students, and those fewer students taking less classes.
2 or 3 years ago, we knew this was going to happen.
Yes.
When our enrollment was spiking, and there was a lot of discussion about when this economy starts turning around, we're going to see that starting to reverse. I guess there's really no way you can measure at this point how much is related to the Pell II going away. And sounds like from your survey, though, from the 13 that responded, everybody's kind of in the same trend?
Yeah, Pell II is going to be unique to the summer.
Yeah.
So when we move into our fall enrollment and start to really analyze that Pell II will go away from that discussion. Financial aid might also be an impact, but we'll also see more of what the economy is going to present.
Questions?
Yeah, I have one. On your first slide, let me make sure I understand this. Have you taken a look to see how many of the 1,661 Pell II students did not enroll? I mean, I assume that was the easiest way to determine what the impact was of losing Pell II.
When the Pell II went away, they weren't able to use that.
Right.
So all we can really compare against is the prior year of those that took advantage of Pell II versus what we're looking at this year in terms of enrollment.
I'm sorry, then I misunderstood you. Did you say 1,661 had access to Pell II and used it in the prior year?
In the prior year, that's correct.
Right. Okay.
Did we go back to those same students to see if?
Well, I'm wondering how.
I'm
assuming there must be some if you're using 1,661 as the number, then you're assuming that 1,661 students didn't re-enroll because of Pell II or some portion of them, right?
I think we just wanted to give you an idea of the magnitude of that award, that particular award.
Oh, okay.
We can certainly analyze those particular 1,600 students to see where they are today, whether they didn't enroll, or whether they enrolled and didn't take advantage of financial aid, or if they since graduated in that time frame.
No, I don't think that. I think you're looking at a recovering economy. I think that's the issue. So, but it would be interesting to see if that's a problem.
We can certainly do that.
Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on through the agenda down to, and once again, since we're going to handle all this under a consent agenda next month, I'm just going to breeze through these and see if there's any discussion that anyone would like to have on any one of these agenda items now, and we'll just move right through them. So we're going to go down to agenda item 7D1A, which is the grant for the U.S. Department of Labor. Any questions, concerns? Down through to E1, the Verizon wireless ground lease. Any questions or concerns on this item?
down to E2. We have a review of schematics. Susan?
Dr. Oliver and Dr. Leopold are going to go through the drawings with me this morning. This is a project that we are working on the Seminole campus. It's in a couple of buildings today, and we'll go through that for you. And you'll see on the material that was prepared for you today that we are, there are two options there that you can consider when you do vote on this. One is for the full build-out of 2 science labs, and the other is with a deductive alternate that would leave us with 1 science lab and a full classroom with the ability to come back later and build out for the second classroom. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started here. Jim?
Okay. This is an overview map of the Seminole campus. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, the orientation is north, 102nd Avenue. It's 100 acres. The development is all at the south end of the campus, and that's, of course, where the construction is going to be held. We're looking at 2 areas of construction, as Susan mentioned, in the joint use library, the addition at the end, the top, and then in the TL building. This is the area now. We had the good fortune when we were building the last phase of construction to shell out the space on top of the 4 classrooms in the back of the library. And so this is a large shelled out space that now houses, among other things, the collection that has been sent to us by Congressman Young. We're looking at some places to house that now, but it's a big open space that we have shelled out ready for construction, and that's where you'll see we're putting the items on in this area. There's another view of the papers from the Congressman's office. This is the picture of that area, that shelled out area. There's kind of 3. There's actually 4 areas that are kind of general. The first is the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions. Mr. Brett finally have offices, proper offices for the Institute, offices for the director and staff up on that 2nd floor. We're also moving the dean, the science dean, natural science dean, housed at the Seminole campus, is moving over to this space to provide space for our growing number of academic chairs, academic chair faculty. This area over here is faculty offices, and here faculty offices. There's 13 faculty offices in this space. 10 faculty already reside in this space, but they're in cubicles now. This provides us the opportunity to build them out. This area over here is the instructional design technologist area, and then a space for our Center of Excellence for Teaching and Learning. We don't have that space now. It gives us an opportunity for faculty development and to have an opportunity for our faculty to have a place to work and to develop the curriculum and to work with our instructional designers and instructional technologists to improve the curriculum. This large space in the middle is a multipurpose classroom. It seats 75. It's a tiered classroom. You'll notice the configuration is a little bit unique. This is a raised podium and a dais, and it looks a little bit like a city council or a chamber. One of the functions of this room will be for our growing public policy and administration program, so that students can have the look and feel of being in a council chambers. But it will be a general purpose classroom used for humanities classes, social science classes, and the like. We also hope to be able to do some of the Model UN activity that you've seen and heard about in these meetings in this room. So that's the area in the library shelled out space. Would you like, Mr. President, to move through the whole presentation or pause for questions at each of the individual spaces? Move through?
Keep moving.
Go ahead. Okay. Second space is over in the TL building. This was our very first building constructed and opened in 1998. And you'll see that there's, again, multiple areas in this space. Here at this is actually to the west. At the west is the area that Susan mentioned for science. One of the things that I hear probably more than anything else from students is the lack of science facilities on campus. We're very proud of our environmental science technology program and our boardwalk and natural habitat park, but we don't have proper labs to offer chemistry, microbiology, and some of the advanced sciences. We can only offer the biological science program. And so this provides us with the opportunity to have a chemistry lab And as Susan mentioned, the possibility of a deduct to put a microbiology lab in this space. So those would be on the west side, those 2 labs, and then prep area connected to the space. Again, here's an additional 7 offices for faculty. We currently have 20 faculty that are in cubicles or in closets. And this gives us an opportunity to, we've grown pretty quickly, this gives us an opportunity to move them into standard-sized faculty offices. This area here is our Learning Commons. Learning Commons is the hub of where out-of-class support resides, and something that's very, very important to us as part of our college experience and achieving the DREAM agenda. And our Learning Resources Director, Joe Leopold, will talk about what's going to go on in those spaces that you see there.
Good morning, Chairman and Board.
Good morning.
How do you do? Yeah.
You push this, it goes
Okay. Ooh, that's not it.
There you go.
I'll get you.
Sure. There were 3 primary goals with regards to out-of-classroom support. We wanted to provide as many opportunities for students to learn as we could in that facility. That is, we needed to change the built environment. The second one was to reduce the stigma of tutoring. We know that many of our out-of-classroom support facilities focus primarily on math and writing, but we are working on ways to expand those offerings. This year's budget requests addresses that. And then the third goal was really to make learning support a routine part of the student experience. That is, that they would be willing to come into out-of-classroom support after class, get their needs provided, and then move forward, maybe move into another class or stay for a while, and then continue to work this into their routine of being on a campus. So with that said, we had 3 plans. The first one was to create these learning environments. If you would, Dr. Oliver, when a student enters the facility, there will be a change in terms of the built environment.
Okay. You want to go back
Right
now?
there along the, no, go back to the schematic, please.
Oh, okay.
And when you come in along that wall, the first wall on the
I'm
left,
sorry, I'm not sure where you want to go, Joe.
right there. Students will be greeted. The first thing they'll see will be comfortable furniture. There'll be some library materials there. It will look more like a living room than it will, say, a learning commons. The second space that the students might see is in the middle of the area. Those are computers. Students will be able to put some materials there, but it's primarily for computing, getting work done. In the back there, where Susan has the green light, is really what looks like a more traditional library area, flat tables. Students can put books down. There'll also be some library materials along that wall. Those library materials will probably be reference materials, programmatic needs, but the materials on the left side when students come in will be popular materials. It might be periodicals, it might be popular books, things of that nature that you would see in a Barnes & Noble, that you would see in other libraries, the UCF Knowledge Commons, things of that place. The second way in which we hope to effectuate some change is by increasing tutoring. This budget request for Seminole suggests that we should have 135 more hours of tutoring in that facility on top of what we've already got, which is a combination of instructional assistants who are full-time, OPS, which are temporary employees who can be the ones we currently have, and building on that, we would have adjunct faculty who might be hired, student assistants, federal work study, community volunteers, and then a couple of programs that are very unique to the college, supplemental instruction, which is a case in which a student works with a professor. The student has already been in that professor's class and will now sit back in that class and then provide out-of-classroom support. And then the second innovative program is supplemental peer mentors, in which students will be assigned into the facility to give peer support to students in terms of angel instruction and study skills. The third and final part is to put library services in there. We recognize that we have a commitment already to the City of Seminole in the library building, but our librarians have begun spending time in this building to bring their expertise to students, particularly those who engaged in the writing process and even in the research process. As some of you might know, we have one of the largest online electronic collections among the state colleges. That's a bragging point for me when I go to statewide meetings, and we know that our librarians are very conversant in those databases and want to pass them on to students so that they are successful. I think that's all I have. Questions about how that built environment may impact student success?
Questions? It looks fantastic. It kind of reminds me of a combination of an Apple store and a Starbucks. It just has a very inviting atmosphere.
Yeah, that's right. There are three discrete areas here in addition to the area where we're going to move some of the furniture around. There's going to be a math lab, a writing studio, and a patio. Joe, why don't you give us a little bit of an overview on those?
Okay. The math lab will be the place where we can do supplemental instruction. It'll have whiteboards. Faculty members and instructional assistants will be located in there. They can do reviews with students. They will have access to any other materials. The writing studio will be a little bit larger. We'll have an instructional assistant who's located in that place. There'll be, again, technology in the room. You can teach classes in there. You can do small group work. Again, workshops are something that we've not traditionally done at the college. We know we've had enormous success at the Gibbs campus with statistics workshops this year in the Learning Support Center. And then the patio will be a collaborative place. Along the wall facing into the facility where there's glass now, there'll be a mediascape piece and then several other tables where students can work collaboratively. They can plug their laptops into a monitor that they can manipulate around. I think the patio also will evoke a kind of a cyber cafe, a coffee bar in there, where students can be a little bit more relaxed. They might be able to make some more noise, so that the facility will provide quiet spaces. It will provide small group spaces. It will also provide collaborative spaces that students can feel a lot more comfortable, and then they'll be willing to stay and again make that a routine part of their learning experience.
When will it be done?
Ready for occupancy August of 13.
August of 13.
Yes.
Questions?
What are you asking the board to approve? Is it a budget?
Yeah.
We're asking the board to approve the preliminary plans and then to approve moving forward with one of the GMPs, hopefully the one that includes both of the science labs. And then we will come back, I'm sorry, Dr. Law, we will come back to you when final plans are completed with a final GMP for this project.
Approximately how much money are you looking to spend?
We're looking to spend about $3.12 million to do this project, the construction on this project. With the science labs, with both of the science labs in there, it's about $209 a square foot.
And then what about the media outfitting?
Correct.
Is that all included?
No, this is just the construction. So if you look, the entire budget for the project will be at, over $4 million somewhere. And it's listed.
Mr. North, we provide you with the schematic overview so you understand what we're trying to accomplish. We provide you with our preliminary GMP, so we have a notion of the magnitude of the project from a financial standpoint, and then we provide you with the sources of funds that we would use to pay for those projects. So we want you to have a look at that at the early moment, and then we'll bring you back the final plan after you've commented and indicated today.
And just one other, which might help clear up. The budget on this contains all the pieces that you're talking about. There's a piece in there for furniture, fixture, and equipment, FF&E, architect's fees, engineering fees, any testing services, permitting, all of those types of things. We'll be happy to include the budget in this also if you would like. And I think you can see that the total amount of the budget is listed on the second paragraph of the second page, which includes all of the items that you're mentioning.
Tim, if you go to the tab, it's all broken down. Yeah, it's all in here. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, any questions or discussions on 7E3 regarding selection of construction manager at risk services? All right.
That is the pre-qualification of
up to $1 million.
Construction companies where we would be able to award projects up to $1 million to pre-qualified firms. That is part of our construction. That is item 7E3.
So we're just approving those firms up to $1 million?
That's correct, and then we would
And for the second part of this, are we gonna, Dr. Law, will we be then doing a list over $1 million?
Yes, we would, it would be our intention then to have firms that are pre-qualified for larger projects.
Okay.
And then my final point would be major projects, we will always bid those projects. So it'll be a three-tiered approach. Allows us to then slot and keeps projects moving without us having to rebid them every single time. Even with the pre-qualification, we get to make final choices on the costs and those sorts of things.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on then to agenda item G under administrative. Any questions on personnel report?
Mr. Chairman, the classification compensation study, I'm requesting that be postponed for a month. We got right up to the end, and I'm not comfortable with the recommendations, so we'll bring that back next month, okay? So,
Thank you.
and the same thing with the personnel report. You can't vote on that today.
Yep.
I don't think there was anything of significance in there. It was the standard report.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I hate to do this. Dr. Law, I wanted to go back for 1 second. So when would we be seeing a list, you think? When would we go out to get a list of over $1 million? Think that'd be later this summer? I'm just asking.
I don't know the schedule.
We can get that process started anytime you like. It is a process where you still advertise under the Competitive Negotiations Act, and it takes about 3 months before you, so we'll be happy to get that started.
3 months?
3 months.
Yes.
Oh, so that wouldn't be any earlier than August?
No. Okay.
That's what I just.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, agenda item G2. We have some financial reports. Dr. Duncan?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I think we have good news still for the year. We're going into our final 2 months. You can see our trend line still has, we have about a $10 million surplus going into the last 2 months. That's very important because typically the final 2 months of our fiscal year tend to be our lowest revenue months. So we depend at this point on having that surplus to get us through. While revenue has been down due to the enrollment issue for summer, you also notice a little tick down on the expense side. We actually reduced our spending for the month of April by about $600,000 over what the average is for that month, simply because we put in some reduction measures to hold spending, knowing that we had the revenue problems. So we're in good shape. One thing I just want to point out on the detail sheet that I gave you, this is a little abbreviated version of it, but we did for the month of April transfer in about $2.5 million from our auxiliary fund, which was budgeted revenue that we typically transfer in toward the end of the fiscal year. So much of the revenue for April is reflecting that auxiliary transfer in. But believe we're in good shape.
Mr. Chairman,
go back?
Doug, please go back. When we had occasion to be with Mr. Fine last week, we were looking, the lottery monies lag a little bit, right? Where are we on that? I'm trying to get a sense of how close we're going to be at the end of the year here.
I can point with that. I don't think you can see the.
We look at this chart here, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think my thing works on it. But if you look up under lottery, we still have about $3.5 million of lottery due us over these final 2 months. So you can see it's lagging quite a ways behind. Also, our state revenue is really down, although it's down 3%, that's primarily because of the retirement reduction that we had last year. So we anticipate for the rest of the year getting about $9 million of our balance from the state in general revenue and about $3.5 million in lottery that we still have coming, so around $12 million.
And then, Mr. Chairman, the ending fund balance will be healthy again. We don't know the exact number, Doug, but
no, I'll have a
probably
better
won't be
sense
$10.5 million, but it'll be something.
Oh, no.
In the
We'll,
3 to 5% range.
Yeah, we typically spend over $12 million a month, and so while our revenue is probably only going to be maybe $7 million a month, I imagine that most of that 10, give or take, depending on we'll keep our spending down. but it will be in good shape by the end of the month. But I don't see a large fund balance at the end of the year. But we'll see.
Questions on the financial report?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, budget.
Budget.
Mr. Chairman, Doug and I are going to do this. I pulled up the words of Governor Scott. I want to have a little framework here for the trustees. This was the governor's message when he approved the budget. And he is looking to all of us, you as well as the rest of us, to make some decisions, thoughtful and deliberate are the words that he. But he asks us to enhance or improve services targeted toward higher completion and placement rates, expand or improve programs tied to workforce needs, ensure accountability. So I want to try to take the work we did last month, and then we have same numbers, same approaches, but I want to take a couple of minutes to see if I can give a general overview. Mr. Chairman, I have a short video that we put together to try to pull together all of what we're doing here, the game plan, the strategic plan that you adopted in December, what the budget has for us, how it meets the governor's goals. I think this video effectively does that, and if I can beg your indulgence, Mr. Chairman,
please,
we'd go to that. Hello. Thanks for looking into the online update for St. Petersburg College. We're trying to use every means available to keep everyone informed about the many new initiatives we have unfolding here at SPC. My goal is to be sure that all of our great faculty and staff are able to bring their best efforts to the accomplishment of the new projects and to outline how we're going to provide additional information and training as we go forward. As all of us have worked to focus on the success of our students, we've been able to develop a number of very powerful new services and tools to help in that effort. Despite our very best efforts, more than 1 in 4 students fails to successfully complete their courses, and more than 7 of 10 of our full-time, first-time in college students don't graduate in 5 years. I don't think that any of us are comfortable that the success and completion information represents our commitment to our students and our concern for their success. A little over a year ago, I asked the provost to take the leadership on an initiative that we called the College Experience. In a nutshell, I asked them to determine what programs, services, and activities our students should have a reason to expect when they are enrolled at SPC. And more importantly, how can these programs, services, and experiences be delivered to students with a minimum of bureaucracy and a clear commitment to becoming more proactive in getting these tools to our students? I asked that we have a common vision across all of our campuses for this level of service and support, but that the common vision not mean that things are done exactly the same at each location. Local ownership in the delivery of the services is critical to the continued improvement of all of our services. The provosts and associate provosts have done an outstanding job in designing specific activities that we feel will create the basis for a college-wide commitment to having students reach their goals in ever higher numbers. The plan that has emerged has the following components. There are 5 of them: individualized learning plans, enhanced new student orientation, expanded career advising, an early alert system, and greatly expanded and repositioned learning support outside the classroom. Let me take a couple of minutes to talk about each of these new student support features. Beginning with a small pilot group in May, we'll make available to our students an individualized learning plan, an online tool that guides the student into planning how they'll navigate through the institution in pursuit of their degree or certificate goals. This tool is intended to be available at all times for students, but especially when they're working with advisors, counselors, faculty, or others in making choices over which courses to take, how many courses to take in any semester, and the order in which to take the courses to give the student the best chance to achieve the desired goal. The ILP will give the student up-to-the-minute guidance on where the student stands in meeting their graduation requirements, as well as allowing the student to determine the impact of a decision to change majors, or worse yet, to drop out of a course. With the ILPs in place, the college will have a means of providing much more focused information and guidance to students on a timely basis and with real engagement of the individual student. Everything the college knows about the student will be available to the student through their plan, and all of that information is available for the student to share as he or she seeks additional counsel and advice. The pilot project implemented in May will be scaled up to include incoming students in the orientation sessions leading up to the start of the fall semester. This tool will be used extensively in our SLS courses thanks to the really good efforts of Dr. Joe Smiley and his faculty who teach these courses. Current plans call for an additional expansion of the ILPs in January. This 3.0 version will include some additional features to assist the students and will be made more available to other students on a planned basis. As we've developed the concept and specifics of the individualized learning plans, it is becoming obvious that this tool has the greatest potential for the delivery of necessary information and support to students in a way that we can both afford and we can grow. This is the game changer, in my opinion. The second major area of focus is the continued revitalization of our face-to-face orientation for new students. The fact that students come to us from so many different backgrounds, with such different levels of experience, maturity, and preparation, requires that we take the necessary time to be sure that each new student is welcomed, recentered, made aware of the challenges that they face, as well as the support they can expect, and that they are given the necessary preparation and tools to get off on the right foot as they start through SPC. We know a great deal about the things that create the best chance for students to succeed, and we also know a great deal about how students jeopardize their chances for success. This August, we will focus the revised orientation on those students whose placement test scores require that the student be placed in 2 or more remedial courses. The new orientation includes an extensive follow-up with these students during the first few weeks of the semester to reinforce success behaviors and to realign students with help that they may find necessary for their work in their classes. The third major area of improved engagement with students relates to career planning and advisement. Available research supports our efforts to identify students who are uncertain relating to their career choices and to identify them as early as possible so that we can align college counseling and advising resources with these students early in their academic career. Incoming first-time in college students will complete a 7-item questionnaire, eventually included within a larger intake form completed immediately after the testing. The result of that questionnaire will indicate if students have career goals, if they've researched these goals, and if they have linked them with their academic programs. These career questions serve to classify students by advising need levels. Students are directed to professionals according to their need level. Green is a general advisor, yellow general advisor plus career information specialist, or red, cross-trained career and academic counselor. Remaining fundamental services relating to job search and employment will be handled by current career information specialists. These individuals will also participate in the career development training. A fourth focus for the coming year entails the implementation of the early alert system to assist faculty in keeping students enrolled in courses, keeping them on track with assignments, and keeping them fully engaged when they need assistance to succeed. The early alert system has been developed in partnership with faculty and has as its core principle the ease and timeliness of identifying students whose course behaviors indicate some concern. Faculty would use their normal good efforts to reach out to students who appear to be struggling, but if these efforts are unsuccessful, an online alert is easily triggered to the campus advising staff, who will pick up on the efforts to track down a student and to discuss the steps needed to improve course success. Just as with our other systems, this new tool will be rolled out on a planned basis, beginning with those students in the 2 or more developmental courses who have gone through the orientation. We'll use it with our financial aid students on standards of academic progress. We'll use it with our athletes and with our African American males. Finally, the fifth and most far-reaching effort to be initialized this fall is a major revision and reinvigoration of our out-of-class academic support offered through the libraries and learning centers. Our efforts to support classroom faculty in their work to improve student success require that we have much wider and more robust services available to students. This expansion of learning support has the sole goal of increasing the course success rate of our students without lowering academic standards in any way. We want to give faculty help beyond the classroom so that students can have more time to develop key learning concepts, to assimilate learning outcomes upon which other learning will be based, and to access an enthusiastic cadre of instructional support professionals who can help them avoid academic difficulty rather than remediate poor classroom performance after it occurs. This last piece is the key shift that's taking place. Our libraries and learning centers will need to be uniformly recognized for proactive efforts to prepare students for classes and assignments. The notion that the out-of-class support is reserved for only students who are struggling or who are in remedial courses needs to be abandoned in favor of a more broad-based, proactive approach to support. All of these efforts are the result of the college's increasingly focused efforts on improving student success. Overall, more than 1 in 4 students are unsuccessful in courses they take. In our 10 most enrolled courses, the success rate falls to 68%, and in the 4 most enrolled math courses, the success rate is at 58%. In other comparative studies, our first-time, full-time students achieve graduation rates that are about half of the rates of the colleges who lead the pack. I believe we can do better for our students. Working through our VPs, provosts, and deans, we've crafted a vigorous plan for employee training in all of the areas noted above. We'll be centralizing and adding to the training resources to better support the necessary training for all employees. In the coming weeks, we'll engage with every employee who interacts directly with students to be sure that those employees are completely comfortable with the new tools and the new approaches. Those of us who do not directly interact with students with all of the parts, how they fit together, and how we can help support the implementation of these new tools and new approaches. Watch too for a variety of new communication tools to help you keep up on the rollout progress, the schedule, and yes, the bumps in the road that we'll find. We've created a special SharePoint site where all the materials, white papers, schedules, and tools will be easily accessible. Watch for that notice of that new site as it comes up. In closing, let me say that I know I'm not the only one who is perceiving a rising level of accountability and expectation by the public for the work we do. Even colleges with long records of high performance and success, such as St. Petersburg College, are feeling the pressure to do even better and to put our students within reach of their academic goals so they can be prepared for a very difficult world. With your help, we can meet and exceed new challenges and continue to add great benefit to the lives of our students. As always, I close with my thanks for all that you do for our students. Members of the board, that is the most comprehensive statement I could put together on what we're trying to accomplish in the coming year. As you saw this morning with the financial aid, and as you'll see, I'm reminded of Douglas MacArthur when asked about military failures. He said they can always be described in 2 words: too late. And I think for many of our students, that's been our story. We can help students, but if we're too late, we can't really help them. So everything that we are trying to do is now focused on the front line, the intake, the early engagement, the focus of success. I'd like to go through the budget presentation again as we did last month, and then certainly take whatever questions, comments, follow-up. We're giving you, the purpose of today is to take your feedback on key areas.
Okay. Since last meeting, I believe each of you were provided with a detailed, down-to-the-line item copy of the budget, as well as, I believe, an electronic copy, and there's one on your computer as well. We went through quite a bit of the detail last month, so I'll run through this quickly. Really, the core components of what I'm going to show you were just described in the video that Dr. Law made. Since last meeting, though, we did finalize the out-of-class support funding, which we had not done in March. We finalized the funding of the career counseling support staffing. We did, once we got those two things done, we then went back and we looked at all of the positions that we had identified that could be reallocated, and we put those then in the areas. Very few of the positions you see in the budget are new positions. I would say they're virtually all reallocated from administrative. We'll show you that in just a second. We also went back and looked at all of our technology infrastructure enhancements and organized those a little differently so we can show you how they support our strategic objectives. This is just a quick summary of the reallocation of the positions. You can see the majority of them are upper mid-management positions, back office type positions that were reallocated to more direct student contact positions, as well as out-of-class support.
I don't want to miss this point. So we're taking almost $1 million in miscellaneous and mid-management back office, and for the most part, reallocating those directly to the front lines. A major change in the way we develop, the way we provide our services. Few of the large items, let me just recap those from last month. We have about a $1.2 million increase in the health plan. We're going to give you a little more detail, I think maybe next month or the next month after that, on our health plan. But I was showing Dr. Law yesterday that we're already seeing, though, a positive trend in our claims since December. We've actually increased our surplus about $1 million, so we'll see how that pans out for the actual need to have this increase. Right now, with the career service schedule adjustments, we're at about 185,000. That's down from the 400, but there's still some tweaking to be done there, and we'll finalize that and bring that back to you. The dual enrollment expansion, Dr. Law may want to comment on that. That's primarily due to the growing need for the dual enrollment in the high schools, and of which we do not receive revenue. A questionable item right now is we had 127 to increase our adjunct budget. With the trend we're seeing in enrollment, not only do we kind of put a hold on this amount for now, but we're going back and looking at the schedule to make sure it's adjusted. That's the enrollment. It doesn't hurt us as much as the spending, obviously, and the adjunct instruction is where we have the greatest latitude in making adjustments. So we're reviewing that to come back with an adjusted number for our budget there. The last large operating increases, we allocated $150,000 for facilities cost increases. We've added about 133,000 square feet of new facilities over the last 2 years. And this money, we get additional operating costs and new facilities money from the state, and so we've allocated that much towards operating cost. The key components of our strategic objectives, as Dr. Law referenced in the video, we've dedicated $398,000 to learning resources or out-of-class support. Frontline direct student services support, about $765,000. Again, the majority of these numbers we're back on the reallocation of positions. Most of these are not new dollars. As well as enhanced faculty staffing and support. The lion's share of this number is just the adjustment from last year to the faculty salary schedule. We allocated $200,000 to health programs. They're sorely in need of having a lot of that more expensive health-related simulation type equipment replaced, and so we've allocated an additional $200,000 for that. A small amount, but an important amount, is $25,000
for our general education review that has come out of the legislature and which will significantly impact us in the future. On we organized the technology a little bit into, I want to talk first about the funding for what we'll call productivity enhancement tools, those things that tend to be more software related that strictly will go to support the strategic goals that Dr. Law talked about. The first is the software for the early alert case management software. While we showed that as $150,000, there's only about $16,000 of that is actually recurring licensing fees in the future. Most of that is the upfront, the consulting implementation costs, some hardware and so on, but a small portion of it is recurring. About $115,000 for the tools that were described in the video, the development of the learning plan, the graduation status tools, and the mobile app enhancements that we've referred to in the past. About a little over $50,000 for clock hour financial aid automation. We see that as helping us on the revenue side because we are currently unable to offer financial aid for what are our post-secondary adult vocational, our hourly type. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I want to stop here, though. This is a critical juncture. This will give us the opportunity to reach out to those entry-level certification programs that are not credit hour based. So we see many of these in health programs, we see these in IT programs, we see these in manufacturing programs. And with this tool, in a number of cases, we will be able to support students in financial aid even though their course of study is not credit hour based. We think there are a great number of potential new jobs in these entry positions.
We also got a transfer evaluation module for our admissions office to better enable us to evaluate transferring credits from other institutions. It's a cloud-based system to database of college catalogs and so on. And we've talked before about our expansion to our business intelligence analysis support. The second part of the technology funding is general infrastructure support. We mentioned, I believe before, that we had a group of Microsoft engineers review our architecture for that system, and we anticipate about $74,000 in system enhancements, mostly hardware. I want to preface this whole infrastructure support piece, though, that over the next couple of years, I anticipate, and I'm going to be conservative, I believe we can reduce the spending in some of these licensing and infrastructure areas by probably over $1 million, much of that being in telecommunications with some changes that we'll talk about. We've dedicated an additional $120,000 to our instructional and campus technology refresh. Primarily our focus this year will be finishing up any of the out-of-class support areas, the computer labs and so on that need refreshing. We have non-recurring funds in to upgrade our wireless LAN expansion. Right now, about 20% of all of our area is actually accessible to wireless. So it's really a very small part. Not only that, but it's fairly it's not fast, it's fairly slow. So between the upgrading of the system and more access points, we're trying to plan for what we're seeing happen. I think all the other schools are seeing it happen, where people are bringing their own devices, many different types of devices, and we need to provide a much more robust wireless environment throughout all of our campuses. Some expansion to some of our learning managements, what we're calling mission critical improvements, really have to do with having off-site backup for recovery in the event we have some type of a downage in our local infrastructure for our learning management system. We want to be able to bring that system back up, because right now we have the capability to bring up about 100% of our classes in the learning management system should we, for some reason, not be able to have students come to class from a disaster or something. So this is a very important piece of the academic support. About $60,000 to the Link Interactive Communication System. This is a fairly small number, relatively speaking, but we believe that the Link system in the future will not only help us replace our current telecommunication system, but also provide significant enhancements to our academic, our interactive classrooms. If any of you have ever used the Link system, it's a very impressive and fairly inexpensive system. It's part of the Microsoft system platform. And $15,000 for our grants management software. We've upscaled our efforts in the grant application area and needing some software there, a software module to better develop those grants and manage those grant programs. You've got all of the detail on this. Is just the high-level summary of the revenue. Again, right now, tuition, we held back about 2%, so we're just under flat for next year. But again, we're assessing that as we go along to see if we need to reduce spending more in that area. Don't try to read this. This is the expense side of the equation to show that what we're showing you is a balanced budget. We've tweaked the expenses several times. We feel pretty confident that this is a good budget. That one question mark being on those adjunct budgeting line where we need to revisit that for relative to changes in enrollment. So we have to look at spending in that area.
Let me take a second. I just want to make sure we
Okay.
don't speak too quickly here. The conservative part of this budget is we started by budgeting a flat enrollment for next year. We've now held back 2% for next year. So, so the total revenue from tuition is 2% less than, for the enrollment growth is 2% less than we had originally worked with as a budget, so that we don't overspend if this trend that we're seeing continues.
We also want to give you a quick overview on the Pico budget. That came up a little bit as you were talking about the Seminole projects. There's not a lot new to say here this year. Typically, we have many more dollars coming in on projects, but all the colleges are facing the same thing. Our Bay Pines project, the $2.5 million revenue was approved and is in the budget. It also includes about $315,000 in new revenue for just general renovations, what we call sum of the digits allocation. The next three larger numbers you see, the first $9.5 million is really carry forward money. That is mostly cash that is already allocated to some projects. The largest of which is the Seminole project that you just saw. The next number, the $6.5 million, is what we anticipate in recurring capital improvement fees for next year, and we'll talk about that when we get to the tuition number as well. The other $17.5 million you see is what we transferred from an earlier board meeting into Fund 1 to fund several large projects in the future. So we're looking at about $36 million next year. This is just a quick summary. We've allocated about $600,000 to deferred maintenance, about $15,000 to American. $50,000, sorry. $50,000 to Americans with Disability Compliance. We're compliant, but we're always tweaking that. There are always areas that we need to look at. $13.1 million for Midtown Center, $6.3 million for the Clearwater Library. $1.2 million is recurring contributions that will supplement those two budgets, the Clearwater and Midtown Center, because we know over the next 3 years we won't immediately have to start making lease payments. So that $1.2 million a year will be available to help supplement the amounts that we have set aside in cash for those budgets. And then, as I mentioned, the $2.5 million for the Bay Pines construction. The summary, this is also in your packet. One of you, I think, asked earlier about the, where's the Seminole? Oh, it's in, up under major construction, you can see the Seminole Library and Learning Center, the 3.7, it's about $3.8 million that is there. Most of that is from that carry forward capital improvement fee amount. You also see at the very bottom, I highlighted in yellow, that we have not allocated all the capital improvement fees for next year. One, there are some unknowns, as well as there are some ongoing needs at the campus level that we'll determine, but so we've reserved some funds for that.
That's the game plan. I think we've had, I hope there's little or nothing new that you haven't heard before. I think you see a very clearly evolving, sharpened focus on what we're trying to accomplish. Let me indicate that in my first year here as president, I spent a good deal of time trying to realign the academic programs, the faculty hiring, the faculty support, the faculty levels. Thank you for doing that. We did that on a 2-year plan. This year I've devoted my best energies to determining how we can do the student support parts, the whole intake, the way we have to support our frontline people in support of our students, and this budget reflects that work. I believe after these 2 years, I have realigned the college in the way that I think best, okay? So I think you have seen the changes that we're going to make in last year's budget and now in the budget that we're presenting to you here today. From this point forward, then, I think we would be able to continue to rifle shot and sharpen focus as we move forward. I would not expect big shifts going forward. And again, though, as we meet new challenges, there will be some shifts. So that has been the strategic direction that I have tried to lead the college in the last 2 years.
I have a question going back to one of the earlier slides. You talked about the projected operating increases, 1.2 million on the health plan.
Mm-hmm.
These would be projected additional claims for next year.
At the time we made that recommendation, we were actually the 6 months prior leading up to December were all, I believe, all deficit months in our claims. So we had more being paid out in claims than we did revenue coming in. So we were eating into our reserve. Since then, we've seen just the opposite. We've actually gained $1 million. So that's good. So the 1.2 right now, we'll revisit that. But that's our what we believe the need would be for increased claims if the typical increase in health costs continues over the next year.
And if I understand what you just said, over the last 6 months, the reserves have gone up by $1 million?
Since December have gone up
Since December?
by $1 million.
Since we put the HSA plan in.
What percentage of folks are in the HSA now? Do we
Very
have it?
small, probably 10%, give or take.
And based on the 10%, are you feeling like that has been a good move, the HSA?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. There were a few other plan changes that we made. I'm hoping that the 3 months isn't just an anomaly. Now, granted, we always tend to see an increase in claims over the summer months and so on, but right now it's looking good. So
we were providing some incentives, I recall, to
Yes.
encourage additional enrollment in the
That's
HSA. Is that ongoing, these
Yes.
incentives?
we have a pilot group, and you want to
No, well,
comment?
we seeded the accounts last year, and as we open again for next year, I would suspect if we've had the kind of success we're seeing, that we would find the money to seed the accounts again going forward. So our plan, though, is to build on that success as we're seeing it.
Yeah.
We have part of that recommendation, and again, there are some new board members. With our insurance committee, we recommended the HSAs. We have a recommended contribution increase that kicks in on July 1st as well. It's modest, but we're heading down the trail of people paying more for their insurance.
Thanks. Questions? Anyone?
Yeah, I had a question about the dual enrollment expansion.
Yes.
Obviously, I attended graduation. It's it's popular. Could you comment on, I mean, does it continue to grow and be a burden? Because it is an extremely popular program.
It is, and I'm not quite to the burden stage yet, but I'm close, okay? Well, let me promise you that I will tee that up with our friends at the school district. I mean, let's think of the success here. The students can access college-level programs. We must have graduated 200 students, so they finish their first 2 years, they get a college degree, they move on to college with no debt, move forward. I mean, all the things that we're struggling with. At the same time, though, there was a point at which we were waiving off the tuition, 25%. Now tuition's at 50%. So when we waive it off, we waive off half. And to be perfectly candid, the state hadn't shown up with their half either. So we've created something that's enormously powerful and popular with students, faculty. It helps. I'm going to put it back on the table with our friends in the school district. We can't keep doing what we're doing. Candidly, we've made a commitment to this year for the students. I mean, if we're feeling the stress, they've already organized for the upcoming year with this as part of it. But too much of a good thing is still too much. So I don't know the answer to this. We've teed it up legislatively with some of our legislative leaders to say, at least pay us the state portion of this, and we would offset all of those costs if the state was giving us their half. That'd be a net zero.
Questions? Anything else? Comments?
I think we move to the tuition
Go ahead.
discussion now, and that's an important piece of this recommendation.
Yeah, I just put I put the memo up here so you could look at the, we can.
I want to make sure we go as slowly as we need to here. Okay. The tuition and fees has a number of components to it, so we've outlined them here. You see the recommendation that I'm giving you for tuition would move us the 5% that was permissible. I tried to track the governor's words back to my presentation today to say, if you're going to approve this, you have to have confidence that's going to accomplish some important things for our students, and that's certainly my intention this morning. Let me make sure everybody sees that we have then the student activity and service fee, the financial aid fee, the capital improvement fee. There is an asterisk capital improvement fee special legislative authorization. When they suspended the repair and renovation dollars this year, they have no money, there's no more money for that. They gave us authorization that we could raise as much as we could go from 10% of the tuition level to 20%, but you couldn't raise more than $2 a year. After we put in some increase within our normal fee structure, there's $1.64 that remains, and we would recommend that. I intend to take the special legislative authorization and put it into let's just call it a sequestered for very long-term improvements. You saw a plan to put roofs on all the buildings over the next 5 years, to do the kinds of long-term maintenance that is not sexy, and we don't cut any ribbons when the new roof goes on, and we don't do any of the self-congratulatory, but it is my responsibility to make sure that we don't create long-term problems in I don't know, what do we have, 3 or 4 million square feet of buildings now, so trying to stay abreast of repair and maintenance. I would take the additional authority and pledge it immediately to a series of long-term maintenance items. Non-resident fees, just for the new board members, are 3 times the cost, and those go up proportionately. In reality, our fee, you can be for it, against it, is now about half of what our college friends pay. Some of you who are seeing those tuition and fee numbers from others, I think, could give good testimony that $100 a credit hour is still a pretty good deal. I'm comfortable with the recommendation.
Might mention too that even with this adjustment, we are still 2% below what we are actually authorized to charge.
Right.
Because last year we didn't take the full.
Right. Questions? I am very comfortable with what I see as a total alignment with the strategic plan that the board, along with Dr. Law's guidance, instituted when you first came here. And the way the budget has aligned with the priorities, I am very comfortable with where we're at. I know we're not going to take a vote today, but I would encourage any other comments or concerns that we talk about now so that we can move forward next month. Anybody?
No, I need to look through this a little bit more.
Sure, sure. Mr. Gibbons, anything from you?
Comfortable.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to skip over the public hearing and move on to the president's report.
Members of the board, as we finish the semester, I feel like, I wish the enrollment number were a little different, but I think we've had an extraordinarily good year from our academic standpoint. I think our students have started to feel new opportunities for their learning. We have shifted gears to begin the process of providing additional support. I think we have the wind at our back if we will make the jump to the budget that I've proposed to you, and then I think we will start seeing. I have a very strong sense that as we brand this initiative going forward, I'm calling it 5 major initiatives, 180 days. We have to launch each of these 5 things fully and strongly within the next 180 days, and I believe we will see the needle start to move. I've been a little bit frustrated that all of the good efforts have not produced exactly the results we would want. I am comfortable that we will move the needle with what we're seeing.
Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. We have some future agenda items for next month, which would include the election of a chair and a vice chair, and to talk about some of the other meeting details. So give some consideration to that for next month. We'll be meeting here in this room on June the 19th at 8:30. And so unless there's anything else to come before the board, we will adjourn then. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.